Right, thank you very much everybody for joining us. We're back for another of our Q&A sessions. We've got two of our wonderful filmmakers here with us, and I'm going to hand it over to those guys so that they can introduce who they are, who their films are, what you had to do with it. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Michelle Karaivanov. I'm the writer and director of Princess. And I mean, in terms of where the idea came from, I work for a company that runs screen acting courses called Actor Studio. And I met the main actress on the course, and I was really inspired by her. And I kind of had the themes and ideas milling around my head, but she inspired the character and I wrote it for her.
Our film was Follycle. Sorry it didn't play quite right, but hopefully you got understood it all. I directed the film, but it was actually written by a friend I met at another film festival in Toronto about 10 years ago. He comes from Seattle, and it just shows the power of networking at film festivals. You never know who you're going to meet and work with in the future.
I think both of your films presented different challenges in terms of production. Just the costumes alone, I think for yours must have been, and yours much more of a chamber piece, just two people in a room ultimately having a conversation. I love that sort of thing, you know, it's nice and about characters. Let's start with yours. Loads of costumes, you know, all sorts of different characters dressed up, the whole scenes with everybody in masks as well. Was that something that developed over the course? Did you want that from the beginning?
No, it was in the script. Sorry, it was in the script, but it was actually very low budget. Everybody had, I think we bought the Wookiee costume, but that was the only costume we bought. Everything else was borrowed, and everybody brought their own costumes.
Okay, so it's one of those, ask the actors nicely, what have you got, can you bring it, we do it. So have we seen a little bit under the veil there, then the hair costume is Wookiee?
Yes.
We had a Wookiee on Friday walking around. We're going to be good for him to see it. How was that for the actor to work in?
It was very hot because we shot it in Tenerife and it reached 40 degrees. He was really hot. We had to keep fanning him and that. Yes.
But you're UK-based filmmakers?
Well, we shot that in UK and Tenerife.
Right.
So we shot that in Tenerife.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you cope with that? With the
well, it was unusually hot for the time of year, so it was difficult. But we got loaned the nightclub and a guy that a drag artist came fully made up, and then he had to all for free, and he came and spent the day we worked in the club, and then he trotted off to work in his high heels in the evening.
And how about for Princess, that kind of that nice tight drama, just in a single space with those two people? And was that something that you wanted all the way through when you developed it, or was that something that became?
Yes, I received the advice in terms of making a short film. It's easier if it's in one location. So I gave myself that challenge, and it's my house. So I filmed 3 short films in the same house, but I kind of dressed it differently and cut costs where I could so that I could still pay my actors. But the biggest challenge was actually the window that you see. It was day. We wanted the full day to shoot. So one of the biggest investments was for the DOP to have enough black draping and material and time to black out the whole window. And then our lovely editor, there was one flap in the wind that just kept going in a few of the shots, so he had to freeze that bit and fix it. And it's something that you would never know is happening on there, but it was very much a team effort to sell the fact that it's meant to be night. That was our biggest challenge.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process of working with the actors and getting those really kind of raw, believable, visceral performances?
Well, one of the things you might be wondering is why it's in German. I'm Bulgarian British, but I've always loved listening to languages and kind of figuring out common themes and how people discuss things. So as soon as I met her and knew that she's German, I wanted to film it in German. And the process of translating it was really fascinating to me in terms of especially the deal breaker line. There was no translation in German, which was really fascinating. But she was, getting to know her on the course, I had a full 3 weeks with her. I knew that she loved dancing, so I knew I could write in a dance and she'd be comfortable with it. She had also worked with the other actor, because obviously they have to be quite intimate with each other. She had worked with the other actor on a different course, and she recommended, I feel really comfortable with this person. And I said, brilliant. Well, that was also a way in terms of keeping the budget down, so they could rehearse independently of and then online, and then we did give ourselves. They came a day earlier so we could rehearse everything because it was quite choreographed. But the dance, I kind of let her roll with it. And
yeah, I was going to ask about that dance, how that got developed, but just allow her to do the process herself.
Sort of. She's quite she's very inspired by different mediums of art. So she put some music we had as inspiration, but it was too expensive to get the rights to. She put that on, and it was a similar theme as the song we ended up using, but that sort of inspired her to figure out what movements made sense. And then she did almost the exact same thing every take, but we kind of went for the montage just to kind of express how she's feeling. But it was very much a collaborative process, and making use of the actors' own loves of these things to incorporate within the story was just really, really brilliant for me.
Just because of the time, I want to pop it over to the audience and see if we've got any questions there for either. If you've got a question for either of the guests up here, please just pop your hand up and I'll come over and say hello. No one's been ready for one. There we go.
Firstly, both fantastic short films, and especially within a very strong LGBTQ block. How important are strands like this and films like this to tell a story, especially considering Manchester Pride was this weekend? We know society these days. How important is LGBTQ representation within independent cinema? And that's a question for both of you.
I mean, I think it's incredibly important because part of the reason I wanted to go into filmmaking was the characters I was seeing on the screen inspired me, even if it is as a kid to want to be a superhero, or later on finding common themes. And that's why yesterday with Women in Focus as well, a lot of the things that they were discussing felt true to me. So it's crucial that these stories come to the screen for the LGBTQ community. And equally, I think for me, I also wanted to show that these conversations are universal. We're all just people. I won't go further. I won't do monologue anymore. I think that kind of covers it.
Again, we're all just people, and I wanted to make this film. It's the first gay film I've made because our friends in Seattle, he's really worried with the situation in America at the moment and the precedent they've got. And gay people over there are starting to find it really difficult. And the tide's turning in the wrong direction. It was going right, and now it's going the other way. So we just want to make films that highlight that we're just all people, so just get along. I think that's all I can say.
It was a really strong, just general piece of advice for everybody, that, isn't it? If we're all nice to each other, what a wonderful world we would live in. Anybody else? Feeling the pressure. Well, in that case, I think we will conclude with the same question that I'd like to ask all the guests up on the stage. To those filmmakers out there who are thinking about producing their first film, second film, whatever that may be, what one piece of advice would you give to them?
Probably things will go wrong. You just have to go with the flow and just work how you're going to get things right again.
It's a great question, and I've had so many good answers for the Q&As that you've done. I'll actually quote Phaedra from the masterclass we just had, as she made a brilliant point which applies to her novel as well as I think any art form, but she said, accept that your story will change. And I think for me, working with so many creative people, I think if you just know that your first idea will develop and it won't be the same as the start, it's really helpful to just let go of things and accept sometimes what you can afford, what you can't afford, sometimes when inspiration comes from somewhere else. But I find that people who are way too precious won't get their things made.
Now I know, just to wrap up, when we spoke earlier in one of the classes the other day, there's a new film on the way, that's in development for you. Do you want to share a little bit about that with anybody? Don't have to.
I mean, sure. I'm developing a film called Rice Wars. It's about a British Tamil woman who goes to war, declares war with her rice cooker as she attempts to recreate her mother's signature rice dish. And we're currently at the stage, I'm directing it, I have a writer who's also acting in it, and we're looking for investors. So if anyone fancies a fun, absurd film in their portfolio, then I'm all ears.
And how about for yourselves, the team behind Follycle? Is there more that we can expect from you soon?
Well, we shot a feature film last year and a low budget feature but it needs some special effects, so they're being done slowly because we haven't got the budget to throw at it. But yes, it should be finished this year, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing, when we haven't got budgets, we at least have time.
Yes.
It takes as long as it takes. We can count that as a little bit of a luxury, I think, sometimes. Excellent. Well, we look forward very much to seeing both of your new pieces of work as soon as they're out. Ladies and gentlemen, give these guys a huge round of applause. They've been incredible. Your films are wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us.